him out. 2 balls and a strike to count on Taylor. Reyes fires, swinging a drive, deep left field. This is way back. Walk him up. Chris Taylor.
What's going on, everyone? Happy Sunday. Welcome into DodgerHeads, presented by DodgerBlue.com. I'm Scott Geirman, senior writer, Dodger Blue. I'm here with my good buddy, managing editor, Blake Williams. How we doing?
Pretty good. I was at the game today, and then I got home in time to watch Drake May play for the Patriots. So it's been good so far, and now we're here.
Right on. Dodgers take 2 of 3 from the Rays. A lot of good stuff to talk about tonight, guys. Welcome in, chat. We'll welcome you in, let you trickle down in. Appreciate you a bunch. Thanks for joining Blake and I again, another Sunday edition. We always appreciate you in here. Take a second, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Thank you again. A lot of good stuff here. Dodgers keeping pace. What's up, everybody? Kira, good regulars. Jake, it's good to have you in. Stuff I love from Gavin Stone. Continued on this stretch. A lot of things that we've been pressing on. Offense, we'll get into it. Stuff to get in. Yep, Bucket Hat Blake is back. People asked, people cheered, they banged on the door. Bucket Hat Blake is here. Which one you got on today?
This is Paramore. Scott wouldn't let me wear the fun one I was going to go with before the show. He said
like a highlighter.
He said it was too much, so I'll let the chat decide. It's a rabbit.
Put it up to your head. Put it up to your head. So anybody, if you're listening on audio, just know that Blake has a stark contrast of an orange shirt with a yellow bucket hat. Yeah. And I couldn't stare at this for 2 hours. I just couldn't do it. But
it's a rabbit, and he's chilling and grilling. So Scott deprived you of this joyous hat.
I should just, if it's bright. Yes, it is very bright. Burn the eyes. All righty. We'll get into some things. We got a lot of different stuff to talk about. Some fantastic updates, injury-wise. There are some more. There are definitely some more, reinforcements coming on the way. Looking around the National League West, we'll get into it. Diamondbacks, again, keeping pace. Somebody's got to beat them because they're not losing. They're definitely not losing. Padres miraculously walk it off today. They're the team in the West, or between the 3 right now. They're not scuffling. They're 5-5 in the last 10. Dodgers, D-backs, both 7-3 in the last 10. So they're kind of battling back. Yeah, we got some snakes. Yeah, snakes alive. I got you, JB. I see you in there. Anything off the top of your mind, Blake, before we start getting rolling? What'd you like from today?
I mean, Gavin Stone. It's an obvious answer here. He was fantastic. He gave up that homer in the 7th inning there, but outside of that, he was pretty much perfect for most of the night. And it was good to see the offense come through with 2 homers. Not a whole lot from them. It was kind of a pitching matchup throughout, but like Gavin Stone was the highlight. And then I think Hunter Fiducia with his first hit and his first start was pretty cool.
Absolutely. So the Tampa Bay Rays initially had, I think it was Shane Baz, was penciled in to start today. He gets scratched. They call up left-hander Jacob Lopez to get the start. He ends up going 5 innings, allowing just 2 hits, 6 strikeouts. Really the only blemish was a solo shot from Kike Hernandez, who now figures to be the lefty killer, something that we've been asking about. Where are these guys, these role players, going to have these defined roles from Kike? Before we move on, I know that Kike's had some reverse splits this year. He's been solid against righties. Is this kind of where you figure to see Kike going forward against mostly lefties here?
I think so. I saw the other day he was taking ground balls at second base before the game, which hasn't done a whole lot this year. He's mainly been at third and then back out in center field today. So I think he kind of fits into platoon options as their righty bat against lefties. But like you said, the reverse splits are interesting. I think some of that was due to his lack of vision, and that's been kind of causing him problems against everyone all year. So hopefully he can kind of get back to his career norms now that he can actually see the ball.
Yeah, glasses Kike, guys. It's remarkable. It is something that's going to be studied because the glasses Kike, that's feeding galaxies. So we're super happy about it. He's bringing in energy. This is something that with the guys that are in role-playing spots, you expect them to come up. And earlier in the year, it was just role-playing guys just trying to find their feet. Now it's a matter of finding their footing in their designated spots. So it's terrific to see Kike do this. He comes up right in the 5th inning, bottom of the 5th, gets the scoring started. Rays answer back when former Dodger legend Johnny DeLuca hits a solo shot in the top of the 7th towards the back end of Gavin Stone's start. We head to the bottom of the 8th. Ohtani gets hit on the forearm to lead off the inning by Rays lefty Richard Lovelady. He shakes it off, stays in the game. Mookie Betts rudely swings at the first pitch and doesn't allow Ohtani to, try for a couple steals. And it's a go-ahead 2-run homer to give him the lead. Ultimately, the final score. Did you have any issue? Did you, with Muncy getting hit later in that inning, did you find any issue with that? Did you get kind of a sense that there was anything intentional there?
No, not at all. Especially after giving up the homer there and hitting Ohtani. Like, that's the last thing Lovelady's trying to do there. His command was awful throughout that whole inning there. He was just struggling to find it. I was a little surprised Muncy was upset and annoyed with him because, like, sometimes that happens. Pitchers lose control and everything, and definitely wasn't intentional. I saw some people on Twitter saying, like, the Dodgers should retaliate against him, but, like, you're not going to put the tying run on base intentionally, risk more injuries or anything. Like, there's just no reason for that. So I think they all kind of brushed it off. Mookie was asked about it, and he said, like, didn't bother me. Like, it's baseball. It happens. Just trying to put together good at-bats, brush it off, and move on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the only issue I had is that, Lovelady had an issue commanding the pitch inner half because earlier in that at-bat, he nearly hit Ohtani. And that's, I wasn't saying, they got to retaliate because, of course, they couldn't do it. The Dodgers didn't tack on anything else. So it wasn't in a position for anyone to attempt that. I know that Max Muncy has that fire. And chat, you remember a couple weeks ago when I was firing off on them for not defending Gavin Lux, I was saying that it didn't feel like they were in a spot. They didn't have those guys that were really going to do anything like that. And guess who was right at the plate to get hit the second time? Max Muncy. So there is the fire there now. We'll see if they're in a different position going forward, but I feel like they've got that swagger where they're going to defend their own. Absolutely. And I feel that if Ohtani got hurt on the play, like initially, something might have happened. So again, he avoids injury there. Rest of that inning, nothing happens. And Dave Roberts calls on Anthony Banda, come in to close out the 9th, pitches around a 1-out single from Johnny DeLuca, who had an incredible series. Dodgers win 3-1. They take 2 of 3 against the Rays. Free swinging, sneaky club, Kevin Cash. You know how it's going to go there. Blake, what were your real thoughts on winning today, taking a series?
It was good. They obviously needed to do it. I mean, they have to keep winning to keep up with the Diamondbacks apparently and the Padres in the division because those teams keep playing incredibly for seems like no reason at this point because you got to expect them to regress at some point here soon. But the Dodgers need to keep winning, and it's good to see them keep doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know me, you know us. We've been big on the Gavin Stone train all season. His rebound, sophomore rebound. Sorry. He had that initial rookie season where you look back at it. If you paused and you looked at what Gavin Stone has done right now, and then you look at his rookie season, the turnaround is remarkable. And I just give all of the credit to him in the world for working and continuing to develop himself because there's a lot of data that you're going to love. If people look into the advanced stuff with what Gavin Stone has had, he's been spectacular. He had that dip. Well, he's had 3 straight outings that he's been every bit. And I see a lot of people in chat. Guys, I'm with you. I believe that Gavin Stone is pitching himself into a postseason spot because he's using his entire arsenal right now. He's using a heavy 4-pitch mix where he's working off one or the other. He's not trying to get whiffs with every single pitch. He's using that sinker to set up everything else and leaning on that changeup. Are you kind of getting that sense too?
I think so. I think Gavin Stone should probably be in the rotation now that he's got back on track. He proved that his July, where he posted a 7-something ERA or right around there, was more of a fluke than anything. He's been great his last few times out now. And with what we've seen from Kershaw, he's still a concern. Like, there's the moments of brilliance for Kershaw, and then there's the really poor moments. And we've kind of talked about that a lot, where Kershaw needs to be perfect to be effective. And I don't know how much I want to rely on that in the postseason, like betting on, is he going to be perfect? Is he going to make mistakes? I think with Gavin Stone, you get much more consistency out of him. So he would be in my top 4 starters as of this moment. However, we're still waiting to see if Tony Gonsolin,
hold on right there,
Tyler Glass now and Yoshinobu Yamamoto come back. So we'll see.
Yeah, Blake's getting ahead. Blake's getting ahead of me right now. Everybody, Yeah, he's getting into it. Take a second, guys. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe button, leave some comments down below. Help us out a bunch because we appreciate you guys. As always, drop in the super chats. We'll stop in. We'll take a second. We'll really, emphasize, what your flavor of the minute is. We'll go on that topic. Blake and I appreciate him a bunch. And chat, you guys are always firing off on the Sunday night stuff. You keep us going. All right, but we're going to roll right into Gavin Stone. I'm going to toss up what we love from him. And let's get right into it. So he was spectacular for a third straight game, using a heavy 4-pitch mix today, striking out 7, just 1 earned run over 7 innings. He only throws 80 pitches. I think he is the biggest piece of the day, aside from me getting into his mix. That's crazy. 80 pitch over 7 innings. What'd you love from Gavin today about his arsenal?
I mean, he was just effective. Like you said, he threw 80 pitches. He wasn't throwing a lot of balls. He was just efficient and effective, and that's kind of what you need from your essentially number 4 starter. If you get that every time out, you're going to be incredibly happy. It was just a fantastic performance. Everything was working. I think he worked very well with Hunter Fiducia. They have a lot of history together. They came up through the minor leagues together, so a lot of familiarity there. Gavin Stone said Hunter Fiducia is one of his best friends in the organization, so you kind of get that
rapport too.
You kind of get that benefit there, and he called a great game, and they just worked really well together. So great to see Gavin Stone really getting back on track after July.
Absolutely, that was a good question. Should he have been extended today to get used to the length of that, or you feel like that 7 innings was good where he was at, facing the lineup so many times through? Was that a good spot for him to get out of the game and take away with a positive, or were you kind of push him a little bit more? No wrong answer here because it's okay. It's still early. I'm always in the camp that if the manager feels it's in a good, comfortable spot and you've got a bullpen behind him, you stay right there. Are you kind of in that today?
I was okay with it, mostly because it was really hot out. And if it was like in the 70s or something, or a cool day, I probably would have pushed him. Maybe you could have got a complete game out of him, but the game was close there. He could have been starting to tire. Like, fatigue sets in quicker when you're in the heat. So I don't really have a problem with it. We've seen how many injuries they've had this year. Like, there's no real point in pushing him any further, I think.
I totally agree. So today he has a 66% strikes, gets 13 whiffs, 34% called strike swing rate. Just very impressive stuff. For his last 3 outings, after today, he lowers his season ERA to 3.33. And over his last 3 starts, Gavin Stone has allowed just 2 earned runs on 8 hits with 23 strikeouts. That's over 19 innings. Is it really safe to say for Gavin Stone that I'm going to get into a couple more things here, but I fully believe that he's gone back on that track of where he was successful earlier in the year. Where are you kind of at with him?
I agree with that. I definitely think he's back to where he was. It seems like July, I think it was a 6.27 ERA in July. It really feels like an outlier. I mean, pitchers are always going to have some rough stretches at points here and there. So for him to get back on track, it's been great for him and the Dodgers because they really need him to give them innings and stability in their rotation with all the question marks they have right now. So, yeah, I mean, I'm a believer in him. I think we've been believers in him all year, and there was that downtrend which caused some worry, but he seems fully back. Like, he's over it. He always said it wasn't a fatigue issue or anything physical. It was more just about not executing pitches and things like that, which does happen from time to time for pitchers. So I do believe that he's fully back. Yeah.
Yeah, and chat, I agree with you on the sense that I love his heart rate. I love his pulse. He's going to go out there. He's going to compete. He's got a mix where he doesn't have to force feed his best pitch because right now he's landing so much in the strike zone that he kind of looks like he can stay right in the strike zone, around the strike zone, remain competitive with all of his pitches where he doesn't have to lean on that changeup where he got banged around at his lowest points. So I really love what I've seen. There's some data that shows game to game. He's working on different things and he's getting positive results from his entire arsenal. He's leaning 4-pitch right now, I would say. Honestly, he's going big time, change up, 4-seam, sinker, slider, flashing the curveball, flashing the sweeper, mixing in some cutters here and there. But I would say usually his top 4 is going to be change, 4-seam, sinker, slider, staying right there. throwing in some wrinkles. But game to game, against, today against the Rays, I love that he leaned on the change. But if we look to his last start against Seattle, he threw 26 changeups. He registered a 50% whiff rate on those. On 11 sliders, he had an 80% whiff rate. And then today, he goes back right again, heavy changeup, as he should. He has a 46% whiff rate. And then in contrast, today, he goes 2/3 of his fastballs per strikes, whiffed to 50% whiff rate. But against Seattle, he had like an 8%. So he's working game to game on which is going to be the most optimal pitch selection. And he's getting positive results in the whiff category. And that's something that the Dodgers have severely needed. And now, Blake, he's getting the strikeouts. So it's like stacking it up. He's at a point where he's not just results based. All of the underlying data is showing he's doing everything he can to force himself into the top echelon of Dodgers like starters right now.
So you're saying the nerds are winning and data is actually a good thing when you use it?
Data is actually a good thing.
Crazy to hear, right?
I tried to articulate that the best that I could without making it so overwhelming. The best I can say, Chad, everybody, is that Gavin Stone is having 4 pitches where he can not only command them in the strike zone, he's getting whiffs and he's getting results. And he's using pitches that should be pitch to contact stuff to just be that and not trying to make it more than it is. So I'm hyper impressed with him. I'm grinning. I'm grinning right now, Blake.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with Stone is we have seen the strikeout numbers tick up in his last few starts.
Yeah.
I think he set his career high with 9 or 10. I forget the exact number he had in his last outing, but he set his career high, came back out again today and had a 9K per 9, 7 and 7 innings. And we talked about that a lot at the beginning of the year. It was, yeah, he's getting batters out. He's pitching to soft contact, but if he gets those strikeouts up, he's going to take the next step. And now it feels like we're maybe seeing that strikeout breakout starting to come through. And it kind of raises your expectations for him moving forward. Because if this is a guy who's going to get soft contact at times when he needs it and still pick up 7 to 10 strikeouts a game, like you're talking about an ace type pitcher instead of a number 3 or number 4 in your rotation there. And I don't think Gavin Stone is necessarily going to be an ace. Like I don't want to put those expectations on him, but a really good number 2 or anything, like I think that's a fair outcome with what we're seeing from him.
Absolutely. And this leads us right into our first super chat here. Brandon, thank you so much. Does Stone crack the playoff rotation with the 4 others?
Dave Roberts was asked about this today.
Go ahead. That's why I lean on you, buddy. You're in the street. You're in the trenches. Blake Williams is in the trenches.
His very Dave Roberts answer was, I don't know yet, which it is fair because they have a lot of questions with their rotation. You don't really know what you're going to get from Kershaw the rest of the way through. You don't know if Glasnow and Yamamoto are going to come back. You don't know what Bobby Miller is at this point. Like he showed some encouraging signs, but there are still concerning signs with him. So as of right now, Stone is probably definitely in your top 4, but it could change by the end of the season. You don't really know yet. I think if everyone is healthy, for me personally, I would still go with Gavin Stone in the top 4. Because like we said, he has the stuff, he has the composure, he has the pedigree, and he's had the consistency all year. So I think he's earned that spot. And like, I don't necessarily think Kershaw or Bobby Miller or Walker Buehler are going to be better options than him.
Mr. Classic, I love, a comment like this that brings up, the tools is fantastic, but it's the mental approach and the maturity to be an ace. He's a very soft-spoken guy. He's an impossible person to get. Blake, what's an average interview time for Gavin Stone?
Yeah, so he usually gets asked about 6 or 7 questions after a start. And for anyone who goes on our YouTube channel, you can always see they're about a minute to a minute 30. And that's with
gives you. That's it.
That's with our 7-second intro. So it's very hard to get out like any answers from Gavin Stone. It's always like, yeah, I felt good. Everything was working today. Credit to my teammates. It's just a very like low-key, stoic kind of person, similar to Will Smith in that regard. Like if you've heard his interview. So yeah, if we ever get a 2-minute interview out of Gavin Stone, it would be kind of a miracle.
He's just a very, he's a mature kid. And I love his approach right now. I love his demeanor. He's a soft-spoken kid. He's got a little bit of twang. So I appreciate that about him. And again, I see people in here. He doesn't have to throw 99 to be a front-end guy. He's got a very mature, very developed pitch mix right now, and he's using it, and he's getting back to it, because during that that big dip where it was like he's hitting that wall, where he's been a pillar for the starting staff, and it's like he gave us that time, Gavin. Like, you gave it to us. Like, thanks for carrying the load. Like, we'll do our best to carry you along the way, and it kind of felt like that. But seeing him and getting the comments about his improvement and how he said he was getting away from mechanics, he was getting away from his pitch mix, and now we get to this, and we see the improvement start to start. It's excellent. To the banner, Gavin Stone, excellent. He's been everything a bit of that, and he's ramping it up. He's been very impressive. Not much else we can say aside from he's letting it do the talking. Ball don't lie, and I just love everything we're getting from him. So I would say right now, we'll save somebody else in chat. Remind us. We'll do the Kershaw, Stone stuff later in the chat, and we'll talk about that conversation then. But we'll table it for the moment, and we'll later on in the show, and we'll put that off on the back burner. Just remind us, and then we'll get back to it. But I would say that Gavin Stone right now, you've got to consider him. You've got to say he's somebody who's been consistent. He's healthy for the moment. He's got to be there. But again, shout out to the over 1,000 people in here across all social media platforms. We appreciate you. We've got one more super chat here from Godfrey. Again, always appreciate you being in here, Godfrey. Thanks, buddy. Can the D-backs and Padres stop winning already? Dodgers got to keep winning. Dodgers got to keep winning, because the D-backs and the Padres have been, two of the best teams? Been in 1-2, right? Second half?
Something like that. Yeah, they're up there. I feel like that's not going to continue for the rest of the season. Like, the logical side of me keeps saying there's going to be a point where they're going to go on a cold streak and lose 10 of 15 or whatever. If it doesn't happen, I'd be kind of surprised, but the more we get into it, the less likely it seems that's going to happen. I don't know. Like, we see the Dodgers go on these hot runs and then they're cold runs all the time, and most teams do tend to do that. Like, I just don't really see them keeping it up, but it's up to them to prove me wrong, I guess.
Absolutely. Dodgers just have to take care of business, what's right in front of them. End of the month, I would say the biggest series, I'm going to say it, the Arizona Diamondbacks Dodgers series in Arizona at the end of this month is the biggest series of the year. I think, aside from the playoff stuff, I think that's the biggest series of the year. With where the division's currently at, Dodgers are 3 games ahead. You've gotta just do whatever you can to win that series. Split it. If it's a 4-game, I'm not sure. I haven't checked. If it's a 4-game, then you got to split it and go from there. But you've got to do whatever you can to keep pace. Just do it. All the headlines we've had, keep pace. Just stay right there. But the Padres have had some just comebacks. Every time I see them at home, it just feels like Jurickson Profar is sitting Jackson Merrill sitting a tie game, walk-off hit. Dodgers just got to take care of business themselves. It's going to be a playoff atmosphere going forward, no matter what, I would say. All division stuff. All right. I think we're going to go. We got some injury updates, Blake.
We got a
lot of injury updates.
We got another super chat.
Toss it up. Noah, thanks, man. What time can I get in line for an Ohtani bobblehead? Yes.
So I heard today from security that people started lining up at the stadium for the Kobe jersey at 4:30 a.m. So,
what?
Yeah.
What?
4:30 a.m. I'm not going to say get in line that early. I think that's also a 7 o'clock game. Today was a day game. So I think for Ohtani, try and be there early. There's going to be a lot of lines and a lot of traffic, but I think if you're there by 2 hours before the game, you should get one.
You better get in line now.
Don't quote me on that.
You better get in line right now.
That might be the most popular MLB or even like sports giveaway ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not sure there's going to be anything that tops that.
You're definitely the wrong person to ask, but because I don't think you might. What's the most you would pay for a giveaway item?
Kind of depends what it is. I think
would you pay $500 for a giveaway item?
No chance. I paid like $150 for the Falcon at Dodger Stadium.
That's sick.
So it also lights up.
I shouldn't. You did, but gonna give Blake too much ammo. Chat, what's the most? Put it, comment in there. Comment in there if you're watching post. Put it in the comments afterwards. But right now, what's the most you pay for an MLB giveaway item? Like absolute most. I don't care, Don. Context doesn't matter. What's the absolute most dollar amount you'd pay on resale for a giveaway?
I think
$200.
Shohei's last bobblehead was selling for like $300 on eBay. That was the first Dodger bobblehead he had.
Zero. I see a lot of zeros. I'm with you guys.
The gray ones were selling for about 1,000. So
1,000?
Yeah, for the limited edition, they would give away like 1,000 gray ones.
I think the most I would do, I don't know. I think the most I would do is like $50. I think like $50. I'd buy a ticket. Scarlet and Blue. I'll buy a ticket. Try to rationalize saying it lights up. Yeah, Kenny. Give Blake the ammo. He's going to carry that all. He's going to carry that all night. He's going to walk through his house going like this. Yeah. Yeah. I'll buy the price of a ticket. Price of a ticket can get expensive though. So that's how my, which one do I have coming to me? The
Matt Kemp.
Yeah. I bought a ticket for that one.
Right. Yeah.
I'm super excited for that one. That's going right there where I had to put this up here. That's Ohtani's first bobblehead as a Dodger. So that I had to put that up on here. That's a cool one. I was just gifted. Very happy about it. Man, you guys are fired tonight with the super chats. We're going to roll into them. David, real quick, toss this up here. You guys deserve the 1,000 people in chat. You're great. David, you're great, buddy. We appreciate you. 1,100 in here right now. Thanks for joining us on the late Sunday night show, Blake and I. These are the marathon runners. These are the ones where no time clock. Untimed game, how baseball should be. Untimed. 300. Diamondbacks worry me more than the Padres. That's a tough one. That's a really difficult one because I can't stand playing in Petco. Beautiful ballpark. Really bad vibes. Really bad vibes there. Like it's the World Series every time. I hate playing in Petco Park.
I think that Diamondbacks worry me more because they have Christian Walker. And that's terrifying to think about in the playoffs. But I do think the two teams are really close. Like, talent for talent, I'd kind of do a coin flip between them. I think if I had to pick one, I'd probably prefer them playing the Padres just so I don't have to make that drive to Arizona in the playoffs again, especially if it's going to be like another series like last year where I made that 7-hour drive to watch Lance Lynn give up 4 homers in an inning. So...
You like Chase Field, though, man.
It was cool, but that's a long drive there and back. San Diego was like a 2-hour drive for me, so they also had great food in the press box there.
I would say honestly, it's just like, Matty Man, I would say my thing about Petco is just the playoffs recently, and just that's how I feel about it. Manny Machado, they all rise up. Will Smith stuff with Jerks and Profar and him being fine this year and Will Smith's fall off, all that stuff lining up. I don't want to deal with it. Hopefully they play themselves into a spot where it won't have to matter. But AZ is talented. AZ's talented, definitely. Their offense is clicking right now, big time. Absolutely. And this goes into the next one. Rod, thank you so much, man. D-backs lead the NL in runs scored, surprisingly. Does that surprise you?
A little. I think it surprises me because Corbin Carroll has been pretty bad this year.
Man. He's big rebound.
Yeah, but like for the overall year we're talking about, like, I think if you told me they were doing this and Carroll was having the great year he was having, I wouldn't be so shocked. But since he's not been good this year overall, I am kind of surprised by that.
I mean, hey, Ketel Marte, if he didn't get hurt a bit, he's an MVP candidate. As you said, Christian Walker, Jock Peterson's one of the best hitters, unsurprisingly, against right-handed pitching in Major League Baseball. Dude's got like over a 900 OPS, like 930 something last time I checked. Suarez been fine. They've got some role players there, man. Rake McCarthy. Hey, man. I complimented them around the trade deadline saying, like, you look around the National League West, like other teams have these platoon guys that they can lean on. Dodgers didn't have it. Now it's starting to, come back closer here. So I would say the Diamondbacks, we've loved their mix going into it. Their starting pitching is getting a little bit healthier. Zach Gallen had a good start against Boston. Diamondbacks just swept Boston in Boston. So I would rather play. I would rather play the Diamondbacks still, but I think they have a more like a stronger team than the Padres. I don't want to play in Petco anymore. Sick of it. Tired of it. Nice ballpark, beautiful ballpark. Tired of playing there. Chris, thanks for the $2, man. One of the most talented sports photographers out there. If everybody has a second, give him a follow on social media. He's terrific. Absolute legend. CSUN alumni. Let's see here. Rich, always good to have you. Every time, I'll be honest, Rich, every time you put Ferris, I have to think about for a second. What's he talking? Yeah, every single
Jackson Ferris.
Yeah, I always think Jackson Ferris every single time. Bobby Miller and Walker Buehler going back-to-back doesn't work for my quality of sleep. Me neither. If they stink it up again, then what? I mean, Bobby Miller had a solid outing. He had a solid outing. Walker Buehler is a different conversation because that door is kind of closing. The runway for the rest of the season and what he's going to be able to bring, it's closing pretty quick. Absolutely, I would say so. Like, how much is left to find out about Walker Buehler? He says, and to his credit, and it's hard to, not give him that grace because of what he's given the Dodgers. He hasn't been, terrible. It just doesn't look dominant. And for what to say to stick in the organization or like in the rotation, he's got to be dominant. He has to be dominant because I think he's along the same line of like what Clayton Kershaw's at, that he needs to be perfect for him to be good. And it's at a very short runway spot for him.
I would push back a little and say he's kind of looked terrible out there. Okay. If we want to debate that, like, could be a thing, but
I don't need to debate it. That's fine. You can, yeah, that's okay.
I think the thing with Walker Buehler, which was weird to me, is after his last start, he sounded very confident in himself and his ability and like how he was pitching and everything. The results weren't there, and he acknowledged like, I need to be better. The results weren't good, but he was very encouraged by the outing, which if you've listened to other Walker Buehler interviews this year, he sounded very defeated and
very dejected. Yes.
Very dejected, very sad, kind of depressing interviews. But this time out, he was much different. He said his body was moving like the way he wanted it to. He felt like when he made a mistake, he could tell he made that mistake instead of just like he thought he did things right and it ended up being a mistake, which is kind of where he was at before. So I think there's some encouraging aspects there where he could start being better moving forward. I want to see it before that we actually get to that point, but Walker Buehler is also a very smart pitcher and knows what he needs to do, what he needs to adjust. Like, he might be one of the smartest players in baseball, just understanding everything he's trying to do out there on the mound.
Yeah.
So for him to be that encouraged by his outing, despite the results, like, that was interesting to me. And it is somewhat encouraging. Maybe I'm just like looking for some hope there or anything to grasp at, but considering how he sounded in that interview compared to different ones, it was interesting to hear.
No, we spoke about it. We had a conversation about, after his last start, like against Seattle, like we had a conversation about how he was going to go into more detail about it, but he kind of held off a bit. And we were saying we loved and we appreciated that about Walker Buehler. I'm just saying that he didn't lose them that game because they won. They won 6-3. He went 4 innings, allowed 7 hits, 3 earned runs. The offense picked him up. I mean, it was different because that was, I think, was that Hayward? No, that wasn't Hayward, but they won the game. Like, they won that game 6-3. I'm saying he's not the reason they were losing, games recently. And that's why I'm like, it's okay. It's fine. But again, that was a Hayward game. It's hard for me to let go of Walker Buehler. I feel like this is my Jeff player, Walker Buehler. He doesn't, unless he's blowing it up and spectacularly terrible, it's just, there's no time left. There's no time left for him to wedge himself into the rotation to the playoffs. There's just no time.
Yeah, I don't think there's any chance of the playoff rotation happening with him or even on the playoff roster. But I wouldn't totally rule out him just being an effective, like, mid-tier to back-end type starter for the team the rest of the year, which would be an upgrade from what he has been this year. It would be fine for what they need. Like, go out there every 5th or 6th day and give them 5 or 6 innings and just don't put them in a position to lose. Like, I think we'd take that and I'll be happy with it. And I think after hearing him, that potentially is a more realistic outcome than we might have said a week ago or anything like that. So we'll see with him.
Yeah, and I see somebody brought it up. His next start will be on Wednesday. He's penciled in against Corbin Burnes on Wednesday at Dodger Stadium against the Baltimore Orioles. So that's going to be an absolute test. And I don't want to ask your expectation, but it's I don't know how high we can look for what Walker Buehler is going to give. I saw somebody say just needs to get some length. Just give us 5. Give us 5. Keep them in the game. Offense, hopefully they show up at Corbin Burnes as a test. And I agree. I'm good. I'm glad that the Dodgers are with Jack Flaherty against Cole Irvin on Tuesday, game 1 there. Corbin Burnes against Walker Buehler. You got to win some of these games. You got to start finding some plus matchups somewhere instead of going, kind of front end guy against front end guy. So I like how they've set that up here. They just need to get some innings, bridge some gaps here, and get their way through it and look ahead to the Diamondback series at the end of the month. Yeah, Matty, man, 5 innings, they killed a bullpen, but I would prefer Landon Knack, but it's like either you start Walker Buehler or where do you put him? That's the question here. That's really the question. Rich, thank you so much, man, as always. We got a couple more here. Chris Torres, Blake, have a great Joe Milton Monday tomorrow.
Yeah, so the joke here is I always say Drake May Monday. It's been kind of like a joke among Patriot fans. Chris is also a Patriots fan for the context, but he likes Joe Milton because he's athletic and throws hard and stuff. But I keep telling him Drake May's better. And yeah, so thank you for that, Chris. But it's Drake May Monday.
That was 30 seconds too much Patriots talk for this. So, Chris, thank you so much, buddy. Again, everybody give Chris a follow. He's got some, terrific photography. Awesome dude. Couple more super chats here. Going to the Freeway Series at Angel Stadium for the first time. Any advice? Tell them about your Angel Stadium experience. That's the best you can give.
Yeah, it was kind of empty there. The seating tends to be pretty cheap compared to other stadiums. I don't know what his ticket package is, so like I was able to buy the all-you-can-eat buffet thing for $60, which, considering stadium food prices, was a great deal. I ate pretty well there. I don't know about like tips or anything for it because I've only been there 3 or 4 times, and 1 or 2 of them was as a fan or media, not a fan. So parking's easier than Dodger Stadium. That's a good thing. You don't have to like get there early like you would at a Dodger game or anything.
Ooh.
I mean, you're not going to watch the same level of baseball as other major league teams when you're watching the Angels, but just enjoy it. It's a nice stadium. It's cool.
No Mike Trout, so it's definitely going to be different. I'm really curious to see what the hometown fans out there, how they, welcome Shohei Ohtani. They're probably going to have, they did the video earlier in the year, and I'm sure this one will be real quick. They probably don't. They're probably not looking forward to this. Right field pavilion. What are you doing, man? Thank you. We'll get to that in one sec. I got to get Godfrey in here. Is it just me, or does every team play the Dodgers tougher? Doesn't matter if they are winning the division or not. They get everyone's best effort. Mookie said it best earlier in the year. He said everybody's gonna play the Dodgers like their World Series, and a lot of people memed it. It's not a joke. Dodgers get the best out of everybody. Everybody wants to beat the best. And now the Dodgers are able to, put up that fight. The Dodgers were having to play some teams who were playing their best ball against a wounded, broken down team. Now you're getting a full-blown lineup. Now you're getting a top to bottom where I feel confident. Starting pitching, it's a dice roll. Bullpen, we'll get there. But you're getting a confident lineup. And I'm much, much more confident with these things. So Godfrey, no doubt. It's been a tough go. And look where the Dodgers are at. Staring at like best record National League stuff. Still leading a division. And with 2 of the top teams since the All-Star break. They're doing their damnedest.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think a lot of teams do want to step up. Like when you're playing the best, you want to put your best up against them and play to your best ability. So they definitely do step up when they're playing the Dodgers, like Mookie said. And I do think there's a lot of truth to that.
Right field pavilion. Covering our entire screen here. I got to Question. Again, thank you for $100. Always being here, man. You do this all the time. We appreciate you. Everybody at DodgerHeads, Dodger Blue. Thank you so much again. In a nutshell, everybody watching over, 1,400 in here across all social media platforms. Thank you to everybody tuning in. To Blake and I, especially on these Sunday night shows, staying around for the longest stuff. Blake and I love hopping on here, giving you our best and live coverage all week. Jeff does a terrific job. Anthony, same stuff. Matt, when he hops on sometimes, and Blake, absolutely. He's putting his hard work in all the time, long days, giving us our best coverage here. And I lean on him for a lot of insight. And he just knows ball. So Right Field Pavilion, thank you so much for the big time super chat. Prior to the season, I felt the Dodgers would break the MLB attendance record set by the Blue Jays, 4 million in 1991. With 15 home games left, it doesn't look like we as fans will break 3.9 million. Are the price of tickets the issue? Great job, DodgerHeads. We'll keep that up there, but I'm going to have to get on a step ladder here. And if you're listening post, yeah, his thing's covering the whole screen. But, Blake, what do you think this is the reason behind this?
I do think ticket prices are behind it. I was talking about this on the Dodger Blue Twitter account when they announced that they reached the 3 million fan mark this year. Last year they were at 3.86 million, I believe it was. And then they went out and had the offseason they did. I thought there would be a lot more excitement behind that. And I do think there was, but I also think the ticket prices have pushed out a lot of people from being able to afford to go, especially if you're trying to go with your family and things like that. It's not really affordable to go get food and parking and tickets at the game. I think the cheapest seats you can get there now are like $60 for top deck on a lot of days. It's just it's tough.
It's a lot.
And then I also think during the middle of the season there, when they were running out lineups with Nick Ahmed and Kevin Biggio and whoever else you want to name among those players they had, wasn't worth paying to go see those guys. Well, a lot of
said that on stream. Actually, I told people, I said, if you're not happy about the lineups they're putting out, don't go. Hold on. Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of factors going into it. Like cost of living is also just up. So it's harder to go afford a baseball game when you're also paying a ton for groceries or anything like that. So yeah,
and it's quick. It's a quick game.
It is quicker. I'm not sure how many fans are caring. I
care, Blake.
No, I mean, if you're going to buy a ticket, I'm not sure fans are like, well, it's 70 now, and I might only get 2.5 hours instead of 3 hours. I don't think for 97% of fans, that's a thought in their mind. And also, I'll say the Dodgers play a lot of long 3-hour games still.
Oh, boo-hoo.
Recently, they've had some long games. So I'm not sure that's the reason fans are not showing up as much.
It's not my biggest reason, but I know there's people in chat that are going to agree with me on this. I loved going to a game, and between innings, I'm going to say I've got a good block of time here where I can get up, walk around, go get some food, go to the bathroom, go to the shop, whatever, take my daughter up there, get something, and not worry about missing a third of the game. And I've done that multiple times where it's I feel like I'm getting less for my money. I would look forward to being this is an experience. I'm paying $40 for parking. I loved it. I think fans of baseball, if you liked baseball, no matter what, with rules, without the new rules, I don't mind how it is now. I'm not saying this is impossible, but I didn't care that games were longer. I absolutely didn't. Yeah. Chat's on that. You can either way. It doesn't matter. It's just there's going to be fans that are going to cite the fact that it's a really quick thing. You take all the time to drive there, go in traffic, pay a ton to have a 2 hour. You could have a 2-hour game. You could have a 2 hour and 10-minute game.
My counter to that would be it's good for younger kids where they're trying to grow the game more, especially on, say, a school night or something like that. You don't want to be there till 10 p.m. for a 3-hour game when they have school the next day. I think the 2 hours or 2.5 hours does help parents and families more, but I still think it's just the prices of tickets. They raise them quite significantly. I think even parking was raised this year.
Yes,
paid for
it feels like it's raised every year.
Yeah, that's all. You're paying what, 35 something for parking now, plus 60 for, let's say, you're buying
and then
4
playoffs.
So now you're at 400 just to park and get into the game if you're going with your family. and that's before food, where they're serving below average food for premium prices.
Let me ask you this. This is a good
not
point. No,
sustainable for most
it's a
people.
good point. Pitch clock is good when you're watching it on TV, but not in person. Yes. 100%. Like, it is the best when you're at home. Yes, because you can just walk and do something real quick. But if you're at the game and you have to stand in a line to go do stuff, terrible. Awful experience. Mid experience. Not awful. Mid. It's mid.
Okay. But yeah, I think there's a lot of reasons that are kind of going into it, and mainly money is kind of the main factor there. I think if they made prices affordable and food was affordable like the Falcons did, we talked about that on our last stream, I bet they would sell out almost every game.
That'd be sick.
People would go just to go because, like, you're paying for an affordable ticket. You're not shelling out top tier money. I think they would sell out at least 90% of games.
Yeah. I love that idea. Like, if they lowered the food costs there, all in. Like, that'd be chill. That'd be cool. But I'm still not saying, yeah, I'm going to go stand in some line and miss a third of the game, because that's the whole point. I know people are like, yeah, bring food in. No, I mean, you got routines.
Didn't they? I think they had promo games before where it's $1 Dodger Dog Night, and I think they always set records on how many they sold. And considering they're probably paying, 10 cents a hot dog or something, you're still making, after the bun included, like 80 cents on the dollar there? Like, they probably make a ton of profit just selling hot dogs for $3 still.
Yeah. Okay, guys, I saw somebody bring it up our last stream when we had a conversation about something similar to this, the all-you-can-eat pavilion. I saw some crazy stuff with the all-you-can-eat pavilion, like people carrying trash bags of hot dogs out, like that, like
like can't say I haven't done that before.
like laughable stuff where I was just like, there's just no way, man. There's just no way. I get it though. You maximize, stick it to the man, stick it to freedom.
This is the main reason here. Bring back Kulakus, fans skyrocket. Hear that, Caston? If you're watching, bring him back.
Friedman, whenever we get you on for a Sunday night long show, that's what you got to bring back. The Kulakus for Blake. All right. Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. Todd Geirman again. Thank you for being here, buddy. Again, always. No, thank you. Assuming Brusdar returns, who in the current bullpen goes? Is it Joe Kelly?
Probably.
They'll do that.
Well, rosters will expand in 6 days now, 5 days, whatever it is. So they could carry everyone. I think we'll probably see someone come up for the meantime. I don't think Landon Knack will come up, because if they try and option him the next time, he'd have to pass through waivers, and I don't think they're going to be willing to do that at this point. So maybe Honeywell comes back for the meantime, but they'd have to make the 40-man room for him. But either way, I don't think they're going to get rid of Kelly or anyone, because they'll have the extra spot.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to get into a very important segment here. Blake, buckle up. This is where you star. We've got some injury updates here. We'll kick it off with Ohtani. Again, we'll reiterate that he was hit on the left wrist forearm area by a 92-mile-an-hour pitch. Like I said earlier in the at-bat, he was barely missed by another one from Rays left-hander Richard Lovelady. But Ohtani stayed in the game, waved off trainers. What were the results of the initial scans, Blake?
So he had x-rays and they were negative, which is very encouraging. Mm-hmm. Dave Roberts didn't seem all that concerned about the injury there. And Shohei Ohtani didn't have anything more than a wrap on his wrist there. So the only concern is when Dave Roberts says an injury isn't concerning, it turns out the next week, the player's out for 3 months. But I don't think that's the case at all in this scenario. Ohtani stayed in the game. He was high-fiving teammates. Everything seems to be okay with him. Just kind of a stinger there. And the other Ohtani update that is on the encouraging side is he threw off the mound for the first time since he underwent surgery last year. He threw about 10 pitches. I believe he used all his pitches, is what Robert said. Yes. And it was encouraging to see. So things seem to be trending well there. But still not an option to return this year. They have completely ruled out any return in 2024.
Some people are going to be irrational about it and say if he's throwing right now, what's the possibility of him being a reliever or something like that? No chance. No need. Don't need to go there, guys. Don't need to go there. All right, and then another one, people bringing up encouraging stuff here. A guy that's surprising a lot of people here, Tony Gonsolin. Tommy John surgery last year, 2023, pitched through a UCL injury to hit some incentives and really, bridge a gap for the Dodgers rotation when they needed it. Laid it all out there, wrist injury, and this is what happened. What did we see from him today?
Yeah, so for context, Tony Gonsolin underwent Tommy John surgery. I believe it was September 1st, 2023.
Yeah.
And it was expected to keep him out for the entirety of 2024. There hasn't been much word on him, but today at the stadium, Tony Gonsolin was facing hitters, which very much a surprise to everyone. And then Roberts was asked about it, and he said the door is open for Tony Gonsolin to return, which another big surprise. They don't want to rush him. They're not going to push him back or anything, but it's a possibility. Dave Roberts was asked, what leads you to think it could be a possibility? What have you seen? What's encouraging? And the reports from the trainers is he's throwing 92, 93 right now, and they think when he actually gets into a rehab or into games and the adrenaline's there, the velocity would tick up a bit more. The command has been there. The stuff has looked good. So it's been encouraging on that front. The thing is, he wouldn't come back as a starter. He would be in the bullpen. They just don't have the time to build him up if he does return. But he's a possibility, which is very surprising.
And that would be for Tony Gonsolin to I'm not going to say wedge. It would be, I think, a couple injuries would have to happen for him to, slot in there. You kind of agree with that? With how it stands, with the guys that it stands to bring a starter coming back off injury, something who has, dicey stuff. He's got to have swing and miss. They've got to be encouraged by his buildup, and there would have to be some injuries. You agree, or kind of that's not it? He could pitch himself into it.
I think he could pitch himself into it if everything keeps going well. Like we've seen in the past, they usually don't always go well, so I'd still bet on a 2025 return for him.
Yeah.
But if you're telling me we're September 15th, 16th, something like that, and Blake Trinan has had 3 or 4 bad outings in a row or something, might be something to explore. I mean, I think Edgardo Enriquez should be ahead of him on their call-up possibility list, but I wouldn't totally rule it out just of Gonsolin himself making a push.
And then the big name here. We've got a couple still. Yoshinobu Yamamoto. His most recent sim game was on the 21st, so a couple days ago, threw 2 innings against hitters. What's the latest there, and expectation of him with what he's going to bring now? When it was announced, I think today, right, that he's going to go out on a rehab assignment with AAA.
Yeah, so he'll be making his first rehab start on Wednesday in Round Rock with AAA. Very encouraging there. He's also going to throw another bullpen session on Monday, which is tomorrow for anyone watching now. And that's encouraging because that's kind of the next main step he needs to go through.
Yes.
It's probably going to be 2 rehab assignment starts, and then he could potentially be back after that point. So that's putting you at 10, 11 days after Wednesday for him to actually be an option to come back, and then another 5 or so days after that. So we're probably talking a little over 2 weeks until Yamamoto could be back.
Yeah. And just to a lot of people didn't tune in. What's the refresher on where his velocity's at? Have we been encouraged by him using his entire pitch mix here? What were the kind of the readings there?
Yeah, so the last time he threw on the mound at Dodger Stadium, they were doing the pitch tracking and all that. He was sitting 95 to 96 with his fastball. His curveball was 77, 78, and looked good. He had command in his first inning when he was facing hitters. Kind of tailed off a little bit in the second inning. Kind of to be expected when you're rehabbing your way back, haven't pitched in a while. There's some rust there, but it's encouraging. And Connor McGinnis said it was encouraging to see, and it was better than what they saw in St. Louis when he threw his last bullpen before that. So it seems like everything's trending up in the right way for Yamamoto.
Yeah, beautiful. Last one, guys. Brusdar Graterol, last pitch on August 6th. And it was his debut this season, got the right hamstring injury. What's the update on him?
Yeah, so Brusdar has been progressing well. It's been very encouraging because the first time he came back, he obviously was carried off the mound, and Dave Roberts told us it was a torn grade 3 hamstring. Everyone was like, that's going to end his season. There's no way you're coming back from that. And then the next day it was, oh, actually, it's just a grade 1. My bad, guys. So things are going well for him there, and he's supposed to throw a bullpen here soon. I believe it's next week, he said, which I guess anytime after tomorrow. So another encouraging option that could be back here soon, and potentially adding another reliever to the mix of the bullpen group we're talking about there.
And I definitely believe they need Brusdar. I'm not going to say it's like make or break, but for, how much load management you've had with some guys, we'll get into Daniel Hudson. I know people are encouraged, they want to talk about the bullpen being an issue and how they've used them. I think that Brusdar will be needed. He's a necessary guy. Rehab assignment coming up next week, possibly as a possibility here. So hopefully we see him, rosters expand, get him in the major league bullpen, give him some runway here, let him carve out some roles and go from there. Because Blake Trinan has kind of faltered a bit. He's had some spots where you can see the stuff. At times it looks a little bit predictable. He's leaning on getting in some bad habits, some hard contact. He's had that throughout the year, though. Same struggles that Evan Phillips went through. Cutter has been an issue. So I would like to see them just get another arm in the mix, someone with some high octane stuff, and just kind of want to see Brusdar back on the mound. It's been a long time, real long time.
Wait, did I say Brusdar was going on a rehab, or did I say bullpen?
You said bullpen. That's all good.
Yeah, okay.
He's going on. He's got a rehab
next week. He threw a bullpen Saturday. Yeah. Too much stuff here. Too many updates. Just want to make sure we're clarified on this.
But for the most part, positive. I saw a note somebody brought up about, Tyler Glasnow. I'd really like to see what your thoughts are with Tyler Glasnow. And there's definitely no update can either be good or bad. With Tyler Glasnow, they're handling him with complete baby gloves, as they should. Has there been anything update about Tyler Glasnow, and what's kind of your outlook for him? Are you concerned at all?
A little. Dave Roberts' last update from him was, I think, on Saturday, and he said it's kind of going to be a slower process than they anticipated for him. So the hope was he would be back in the 15 days after he first went on the IL.
Yeah.
That didn't come to fruition. He didn't start throwing until, I think, also Saturday, when he was supposed to throw a few days earlier than that to kind of start getting back on track. So it's good he's throwing again. Robert said there was no pain or soreness or anything with his throwing, so that's another good thing there. But he still kind of got to go through the buildup of throwing. He did 60 feet, then he has to go 90, then 120, then out past that and kind of long toss, and then bullpen sessions, throw off a mound, then face live hitters. So we're probably looking at another few weeks here until he's back, which a lot different than the 15 days they first said.
Where would they be without Gavin Stone? Where would they be without Big Jack Flaherty?
They'd have Robleski and Knack. All good.
Oh, it's dicey. It's dicey. But again, big couple weeks coming up. Just time's running out to get the workload up for them. I think they're going to be pretty, once they're cleared, I think they're going to have just a set plan to get them as built up as absolutely possible so they can go into, October stuff. But I think I saw people bringing up that Yamamoto is paramount. He is key. Yamamoto coming back to the rotation not only gives them just another arm, he gives them an ace arm. So I think that it has to happen. If the question marks with Glasnow are continue and we don't know, I think that Yamamoto returning to a healthy point and with built up so that he can pitch, at the front end, we'll get into some, usage there where he can slot in a postseason rotation, whether it's first, whether it's third, try to maximize him. I think he is just an absolute key, like that, hinging on everything more than Flaherty going 2 times in a short series. It's big time for Yamamoto to make his way back. So for all green lights with him, that's the most encouraging from all these updates here, aside from Ohtani not being seriously hurt.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. And then we're going to get into one thing here.
2 more.
Kind of just we got a couple here. My bad, guys. Sorry. Rich, those are the most expensive in parking, seats, food. It's not easy to drive to, too crowded. And to be honest, stadium personnel, not very friendly. It's a lot there. There's a lot of factors. Absolutely. For all the things you got to pay, you got to pre-buy parking if you want to get a discount on it. If you go buy food, you're going to miss a couple pitches or a couple innings, possibly. Absolutely. You do anything. Like for all the renovations, it is an older stadium. There's definitely, you look at parks like Petco. If you've been to Petco, it's a beautiful stadium. Backdrop's incredible. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff where people could like gripe about it. The viewing experience at home is superb.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that a bit. I think there are a lot of reasons that are valid there. The parking and that situation at Dodger Stadium is a complete mess. Getting in and out of that stadium is just terrible for fans. I know being up in Chavez Ravine gives a very scenic backdrop and it's very nice, but yeah, if you go to Angel Stadium and you deal with the parking there and then compare it to Dodger Stadium, it's two completely different universes there. Too crowded, I think it's true, but it's also a little funny. We were just like complaining they're not getting to 4 million fans this year. So like, what do we really want there? Do we want more fans? Do we want less? It's also very hot, which out of the Dodgers' control, but I get why a lot of fans wouldn't want to go there, especially on a day game or something, be in the heat for 2 or 3 hours. It's just, yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, why they didn't reach 4 million fans this year. Like Richard said, the parking, the food, it's all expensive. So I kind of do think it always comes back to the money side of it, because I think fans would deal with all that stuff if it was more affordable.
Like Right Field Pavilion brought up, that, are you surprised that they're not going to break that record, considering all the hype going into the year? Or you think a lot of factors just like throughout the year change those, move those goalposts?
I'm surprised they didn't, but I understand why they didn't. I thought even with all that, they'd probably still reach 4 million, just because you essentially got half the Angel fan base when you signed Shohei Ohtani just to leave them and go to be Dodger fans. And they were already at 3.86 last year. So I thought they probably would have at least got the 4 million. So it is a little surprising to me. But like when you actually break it down and think about it and analyze the reasons why they didn't get there, it does make sense.
Pre-game, drink, eat, best way to go. Yeah. Cost effective, bring your stuff in. Everybody yelling at me to do that. But, the nostalgia in me is telling me, go overpay for a tall can and sit down and do that. But I'm not a big Dodger dog guy anymore. Not a big Dodger dog guy. Bring back the old food.
Just want Carl's Jr., just say it.
Just want Carl's Jr. Bring back CPK.
This is your every show you complain about not having Carl's Jr. at the stadium.
Those are the good days, Blake.
But then like on the other shows, you say you don't eat fast food ever. So like, pick a lane
Just
here.
the good days of Dodger Stadium when they weren't, greedy, money hungry, trying to get every dollar out of the fan to go watch a 2-hour and 10-minute game. This is my old man yelling at Cloud. Matt, if you're watching, turn it off. I'm not on your side.
You want analytics Jr. there just to look at it. You're not going to buy it, but you'll be like, yes, that's
just takes me back to the good days.
Stadium should be
when they cared about fans. All right, Aaron, here's a real question, Blake. When did you see Paramore?
I think it was last year now. I think it was late 2023 when they were at the Forum. I think that was the right date. Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed them. They're my favorite band. I haven't been to too many concerts, probably like 5 or so, but that was by far my favorite. And I've looked to see when they're going to be back again, but probably going to be a while. I think, aren't they touring with Taylor Swift now in the UK or something? I think that's where they are.
Yes, is as good as mine. Girlfriend's in here flaming me only In-N-Out or Chick-fil-A. Correct. That's it. Only fast food I eat now. Absolutely. Shout out to Matt.
Out on
Canes, whatever, bro. All right. We're getting into a segment where it's kind of open-ended here. And just because a lot of people are having this conversation, the bullpen management of Dave Roberts and the season going ahead, with the options that they have and what he did on Saturday in the middle game, that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, with Michael Kopech going earlier in the game, Evan Phillips in the 9th. What is your kind of takeaway from all of the, what's been going on with bullpen management and how Dave Roberts has kind of implemented these guys.
So with the thing about Kopech going in the 8th inning and Phillips in the 9th, I didn't have a real issue with it at the time. For me, like, I've always taken the stance that pitchers should just be pitchers and pitch in whatever inning they're called upon. I don't think there's a difference between the 8th and the 9th inning. And that could be me, like, just saying that as someone
In what sense?
Hasn't done that. But, like, you're still going out there, you're facing 3 hitters or trying to get 3 outs. Like, the number on the scoreboard shouldn't change anything, in my opinion. I've heard a lot of pitchers say the same about it. Like, go out there, whatever inning, do your job, get your 3 outs. Doesn't matter if there's a 7, an 8, or a 9 on the inning on the scoreboard. I think some other pitchers have also made their preference known to pitch like only in the 9th inning or only in the 8th inning kind of things. Like Kenley Jansen, we saw for a long time, kind of struggled when he came in before the 9th inning. Probably because there's like more of the adrenaline rush there that some of those pitchers get better by. But for the pitchers the Dodgers have, they've all said like they don't care what inning they're pitching in. Kopech said he doesn't want to be called a closer. He just wants to be called a pitcher. Evan Phillips has consistently said like, I'll do whatever they ask of me. I don't care if it's the 9th or the 8th or the 7th or the 1st. Like, I think the Dodgers don't have anyone with that closer mentality where they absolutely need to come into the 9th inning. So, like, for me, watching it, I didn't understand why they went to Kopech in the 8th inning at the time, but it, like, didn't bother me. Like, and then I think when you're kind of watching it play out, Kopech was facing the bottom of their lineup and still struggled. So it's hard for me to go complain like he didn't pitch the 9th inning when he just gave up a run and loaded the bases and got bailed out on a defensive play when he was struggling. Like, you can't make that case like, oh, he wasn't good, but he should have pitched the 9th against the top of the lineup and he would have magically been better. I just don't agree with that logic. Evan Phillips has been pretty good recently. I know he's been up and down throughout the year and he kind of went on a pretty poor stretch, but for his last 5 or so innings, he's been much better. Fastball command has been better. He's been getting guys out. And then Dave Roberts was asked about it today, why he went with Kopech. And he said it was because the Rays tend to pinch hit with lefties at the bottom of their lineup more and don't do it at the top of their lineup. And that's something you've talked about all year. You never want to see Evan Phillips facing a lefty. So I don't have any problem with that, like trying to plan ahead for that kind of thing. I think that's good managing. It makes sense. You can understand the reasoning there. Dave Roberts did say if he had the opportunity, he would do the same thing again. So he didn't see like an issue with it. I don't really see an issue with that. I agree with that logic. So it made sense to me. Like sometimes they just don't work out and you have to blame the players. You can't just blame the manager every time a player fails.
I'm not going to, yeah, it absolutely. It's moot because like everybody, they didn't perform. I'm more speaking towards going ahead. Like yesterday was an issue. Like they just didn't perform. Players got to play. I've been on that. We had a conversation with somebody on Twitter about it, that players at the end of the day, they got to perform. And if they don't, that's on them. That's how it goes. But the Dodgers have to find a way to maximize these guys. Joe Kelly in the 10th was a terrible choice. He's been awful with runners on base this year. He's been awful with runners on base for a long time. His slash line, he's allowing like a 580 slug with runners on base. He's so hot and cold throughout the year. But Joe Kelly in the 10th was a terrible decision. And I thought that it was a white flag. Like that was a white flag. Kopech, I don't care what they did on Saturday. I more so want them to go with the guy with the best stuff. Dave Roberts has said in the past that he likes when there's a singular option, makes his job easier. Into the logic, sure. Closer by committee. Not every guy is built for, being a 9th inning, back end, close out last 3 innings. But we've seen them have multiple different guys. Anthony Banna today closed it out. To what they did with Evan Phillips, sure, it makes sense. I'm just thinking, if Evan Phillips has been successful pitching earlier in the game and that got him back on track, rocking the boat is going to brush a lot of people the wrong way. It's going to, if the process doesn't work out, people are going to question, why is he going back into the, the 9th inning? Some days they're going to do it. Some days they're not. It's just a rough look when it doesn't work out. It's just that the closer by committee thing sounds good in theory. You and I have had conversations, off of here, for years, even before we worked at DB, that we would just like them to have, use, if they have enough guys, to have the best matchup and it works and they can do it, fine. But I've heard a lot of people say that having a closer mentality and someone that everybody knows and having a roadmap and hammering out roles in going into the ninth inning or whenever the end of the game is, it bodes very well for a bullpen, for more of a defined approach. And I think that it would serve the Dodgers really well to hammer that out now and towards the end of the year instead of waiting till the last 2 weeks to know who's going to be pitching in these spots here. I'm not saying it might get predictable, but I just want to see them have more of a defined approach and who they're using in these spots. So each guy can have, know what their role is going to be.
I tend to agree. I didn't like Joe Kelly coming into the game, but I think that was also a matter of circumstance. Daniel Hudson wasn't available. He hasn't been available for a few days because Dave wanted to give him some rest and a mental reset. He's kind of been struggling there. Not injured, but he's thrown a lot of innings, which he hasn't done in the past few years. Mm-hmm. And just give him a break. I think that's fair. I'm not going to criticize that. I think there's also kind of the angle we kind of need to look at relievers here is when they do their job and do what they're supposed to, it's great. That reliever was awesome. They did their job.
Yep.
It's never anything about like, yeah, good job, Dave Roberts put them in the right position there to succeed. Never hear that. But as soon as the reliever has a bad outing, it's why did Dave put them there? That's a terrible decision. He's the worst. Fire him. Get him out of here. Like, we're never criticizing the reliever just wasn't good that day. And I think we kind of need to have like a fair view of this where sure, Dave might not always make the best decision. I don't think anyone's going to say he's a perfect manager. I don't think anyone should say he's the worst manager either, because I think there was logic in his decision there. And as long as there's some logic behind it, I'm going to be fine with the move. If the logic makes sense, I'm not going to criticize it, because sometimes things just don't work out. Players don't do their job. And at the end of the day, like, it is up to the players to do their job. The game was lost in that on Saturday, partly because Kopech was bad. And I don't think anyone would have complained that Kopech shouldn't have been in the game at any point, but he was still part of the reason they lost there. So I think we do need to criticize both the players, and if it's a poor decision, we can criticize the manager. But we also have to say, like, it's the player's job to go out there and get 3 outs, not Dave Roberts' job to do that.
Yeah. People saying, Pinsanity, there weren't any other options for the 10th there. I would have loved if Dave Roberts called on Anthony Banda there in the 10th. He's been stellar with runners in scoring position. He's been great. He's has like a sub, he's just been awesome. He's been great in that spot. I felt he was a better option there. He hadn't pitched since the 21st, so a couple days. I felt that he was okay to do it, but just like Daniel Hudson here, he's giving him multiple days rest, like a lot. And Anthony Banda, same type of thing. Dave Roberts is, giving these guys some breathers here, and at the expense putting people in odd spots. I felt that Joe Kelly was a white flag. He's not been good, and Dave Roberts even said it. There's times when he did that long sigh, and he's been very telling. His body language and the way he's said stuff this year in post-game pressers. He wanted to, he knows Joe Kelly's been so hit or miss. And it's just a point where he's going to be good or he's going to be terrible, blow the game. And that was a spot where he gave up a ton of hard contact. I felt that it was a white flag. I would just prefer them to going ahead. I want some roles carved out there. Let's get more of a roadmap. If Kopech's got the best stuff on the staff, show it. Put him in a biggest spot. Put him in the biggest spot there. That's just it for me. I want him in the biggest spot. If it's at the end of the game, absolutely. I would love it. I think that he's built for the closer role. I think he's just got it. And I'm worried about Daniel Hudson. He's been banged up big time. I just had it pulled up here. Oh my goodness. Daniel Hudson, his last 7 games, 6 and 2/3. So 8.10 ERA. So a lot. So giving Daniel Hudson a breather in his age 37 season is very worthy. That's fine. That's totally okay. If they can't find an IL stint for him,
Yeah. So I do want to say with Joe Kelly, I don't think it was the right decision there, but he's also been better his last few outings. I know he's probably the most inconsistent reliever we've seen in quite some time, because he'll show flashes of being completely dominant. No one can hit him. And then the next outing, he can't find the zone and he walks 7 hitters when he's only facing 4 of them somehow, because that's just Joe Kelly. So, like, it's still up to the players to go out there and play is my main thing. And, like, this comment from Jason, a manager's performance is directly linked to the bullpen performance. I do kind of agree with that, because if the bullpen's going great, no one's going to complain about the manager. And if the bullpen starts to struggle, it's always the manager's fault and no one else's fault. I will say, like, the Dodgers have the 5th best bullpen ERA in baseball this year, and we're still sitting here criticizing Dave Roberts, so I can't maybe fully get on that. And then I also think there's a lot that goes into bullpen management that fans don't see, like, on an everyday basis. Like, you're not going to have all 7 relievers or 8 relievers available on every given night. Yeah. You're usually going to have a few guys down, and you have to manage around that. You can't manage to win 162 games. Some games you're going to have to throw out the white flag because your top 2 relievers are unavailable.
And say that on here. Don't say that on here. That's hard to do. I know. I'm with you. You can't manage every game like it's the last, like it's game 163 and do or die. But it just when there's better options available, Blake, I think that's what fans see, and we see it right away.
I agree with that, but like Banda pitches yesterday, he's maybe unavailable today, and then who's closing out today? You probably have Joe Kelly closing today in the 9th inning with a lead instead of Banda. So like there's trade-offs every single day. Every time you make a move, you're going to try and win this game, but you might possibly cost yourself in the next game or a game after that. There's just so many different factors that go into it. Aside from your pitching coaches and data guys telling you like, hey, this is the matchup you want here. Like, it's not just Dave Roberts making these bullpen decisions. He has Mark Pryor and Danny Lehman in his ear telling him like, hey, this is the matchup we planned out. They're talking about everything before the game, probably even with the front office. Like, this is how we expect our pitching to kind of go tonight. There's just so many variables that go into a pitching decision that it's hard for me just to put all the blame on Dave Roberts and say it's all his fault. I get he's not going to make the best decision all the time, and I'll be critical of poor decisions when he makes them, but you're going to criticize every single manager in baseball, no matter who it is, if you're going to criticize like every wrong decision they make.
I don't know, man. You look at the usage here, I don't buy it at all. I don't buy that at all. He's got 3 guys in the pen that haven't pitched since last Wednesday. Like, with a day off tomorrow, like, he could have used somebody in a back-to-back. Like,
where are the 3?
Hudson, Vesia, Banda, like, and then he could have gone. Yeah, absolutely. He could have gone
2 lefties and a guy who they didn't want to go to give him a rest. So if you're talking about like 3 righties coming up, I don't think any manager in baseball is going to their lefty over the righty Joe Kelly. I don't think any manager you could hire would do that.
Nope. When the data shows that Joe Kelly's been terrible with runners on base.
I do think there's some outlier to that. It's just Joe Kelly being Joe Kelly.
Okay.
I think with Joe Kelly, that gets skewed because he's either completely dominant and no one reaches base, or he's having a terrible game and everything falls apart for him. Like, there's no in-between with Joe Kelly there. So he's been better recently, and I know I don't like trust Joe Kelly at all, but his last few outings, he was good.
Does he get whiff? Does he get swing and miss?
Joe Kelly?
Yes.
I think so. He has good stuff. The problem with him is always his command.
Nah. Can't convince me. Can't fool me. Can't fool me.
Just for the record, Scott has a Joe Kelly jersey. He was probably the first person to buy it.
I bought it. Oh my God. I bought it pre-2020. Like, this is like 2019. Checkmate. I don't care. At least I'm willing to say that he was a terrible option for that spot.
I agree. Like, I wouldn't have gone to him, but your other 3 options are lefties versus righties and a guy they were trying to stay away from for rest.
I will look it up right now. I'll look it up right now, and I think Anthony Banda has reverse splits, and I would have gone him 10 out of 10 times over that.
I mean, maybe, but then, like, you don't have your closer for today.
Deal with it today.
Then Joe Kelly comes in today, and you're complaining about Joe Kelly pitching today instead of yesterday.
You deal with it today. Who knows? They had no idea that it was a 2-run game in a safe situation.
You don't. You're making bets all the time when you're managing a bullpen.
I would have gone Banda. Anyways.
I also want to say I'm not defending relievers. If anything, I'm more defending manager bullpen decisions.
Get him, Chad.
Relievers are volatile. You never know what you're going to get from them. Like, I don't think a manager makes that much of a difference at the end of the day.
Hey, Dave, that's why we change takes to, go year to year. Things change. People change. My view on the whole Dodgers organization has changed in the last year with the way that the playoffs have gone the last 2 years. Blake and I
was probably the most pessimistic person about the team all last year. And now I think I'm pretty optimistic about them all year, even with their injuries and everything.
Yeah, we love the deadline. The deadline's they cooked. They absolutely cooked. Absolutely cooked this year. Let's see. All right. John Blue, thanks again, man. Mariano Rivera, 652 saves. Disagree with Blake. Talk about a set closer.
I mean, he's kind of an outlier guy. We're never going to see another Mariano Rivera again. He threw one pitch and people couldn't hit it. I don't know. I'm just not willing to compare him to anyone that the Dodgers have in their bullpen. If you had a Mariano Rivera in the Dodger bullpen and Dave Roberts was using him in the 7th or something, yeah, sure, criticize him all you want, but we don't have Mariano Rivera in the bullpen.
Set closer, give it to me. Michael Kopech, lock it in. Dave Roberts, come out tomorrow, press conference. Day off, do it. Real quick, isn't it weird that they've had multiple home series with days off in between? How often does that happen?
I don't remember it too often.
Yeah.
I do say I am a fan of it, especially after being there 2 or 3 days in a row each time.
100%.
It's nice to have that little off break there. Yeah, I don't know. It's nice.
Hawaiian Kira, who's in your trust circle? This could be a long segment. Oh, my goodness. Starting, pitching, bullpen. Starting pitching. We'll start right there. Even when he's not here, I'm gonna say Yamamoto, Jack Flaherty, Gavin Stone. That's my circle of trust for my 3.
I'm gonna throw Glasnow on there.
Glasnow, yes, sorry, Glasnow. My bad. But we that's we don't know if he'll be back.
Yeah, that's probably the same for me. I don't think anyone's gonna debate any of those unless you're super high on Kershaw or Walker Buehler or Bobby Miller for some reason. Which
in the chat, anybody tuning in to the 1,700 people watching, is our Walker Buehler, Bobby Miller, Clayton Kershaw in your circle of trust in the starting rotation? Trying to see something. We'll go bullpen. Give me your bullpen.
Kopech, Phillips against righties, Banda, Vesia, and I'll throw Ryan Brazier on there. He's looked real good since returning.
I think I hard agree on those. Yeah, I don't even have to deviate. I don't have to deviate at all. A lot of those.
Daniel Hudson could probably get back to that point, but it's been kind of rough his last few outings, so we'll see.
Man, love me some Huddy. He's just hard to ask a lot. Age 37 reliever.
Kopech did come in and immediately load the bases with nobody out, but he only allowed 1 run. I know his defense bailed him out a bit there in the Rays base running mistake, but that's going to happen. No reliever is going to be perfect. Even Mariano Rivera wasn't perfect. So time to time, you're just going to have 4 days as a reliever. All right. We have other questions here. This one, yes, I do go to Dodger Stadium for free parking, and my press pass is all given to me by the Dodgers. So, yes, I do.
All right. Let's see.
I think we got everything.
We got everything. All right, guys. Shout out to the over 1,600, 1,700 people in here. Again, if you have any last-minute super chats here, toss those in here. If you want to drive the conversation any way, we'll stop what we're doing, get to those. But if you've got a sec, make sure you hit the like, subscribe button, notification bell. Blake appreciates it. I appreciate it. And Dodger Blue, we appreciate you. But again, we're going to go into questions now. Toss those in, all caps question, lead into that. Let us know. I know there's a lot of burning stuff here.
This one was from earlier, so let's get to it.
Yeah.
Is Freddie's finger hurting him at the plate? Yes, I think so. I think it's been affecting him. Dave Roberts said that fielding affects him more than throwing.
Mm-hmm.
And he noted that there was a ground ball hit to Freeman that he wasn't able to like grab correctly and throw. So it turned into just an out at first base instead of a potential double play. So I do think that's something to watch going forward. But we'll see. I don't know. If Freddie might need some time off to get that healed.
It's a good question here from Larry. Since Kershaw often struggles in the first inning, any thought of using an opener during his potential postseason starts? I don't think it would matter. I think it's more so just getting him, into a rhythm. Like when he's on, he's on. It's about, you'll know right away. Like you'll know right away with Clayton Kershaw. Like the damage will happen early. Like he doesn't, it's the main point that we try to hammer out is that his stuff isn't good enough anymore to make big mistakes and get away with it. The mistakes he make will result in damage, like slugging, extra base hits, home runs. Stuff will happen quick, reminiscent of what you saw last year in the playoffs against the Diamondbacks. It'll happen fast. And if that happens, Dave Roberts needs to be ready to pivot. Like you have to be ready to pivot. And then that's something that's like an absolute nightmare scenario. So that's why getting Yamamoto back, finding, if Glasnow is good to go, Gavin Stone, lock him in, and Jack Flaherty. And that's why hopefully having your 4 is going to be a big thing. So you don't have to, if you have to use Kershaw, you got to make sure you've got somebody ready to go because the damage will happen fast and you got to know early. Can't just give a game away.
Yeah.
My gosh, favoriting so many. Chat again. You guys are fired tonight.
I have been.
All right. David, any prediction on the Orioles series? Anything you got, Blake? I like the pitching matchups.
I don't even know what they are yet. I haven't looked. But
Cole Irvin, Jack Flaherty on Tuesday, Corbin Burns, Walker Buehler. I'm intrigued by that just because I want to see the offense against Corbin Burns. We've talked about that all year. Barometer for me is the offense against elite starting pitching, hard thrower. I want to see if the Dodgers can make him work. That's how you can kind of get to Corbin Burns, make him expand out of the strike zone. If you don't chase, he's got to go in there. That's what I want to see with this full lineup now. We're going to get to see where the Dodgers offense is against premier starting pitching. And Jack Flaherty against Cole Irvin, because the Dodgers offense against lefties has been a plus this year. Surprisingly, they've been great aside from today. And Jack Flaherty, get him on a roll. Hopefully he avoids those long, those inflated pitches, like innings pitched, per inning, and get him some deep into the game, because when he's doing it, he can toss you 7 and win you a ball game just on that. So the first 2, Dodgers haven't announced a starter for Thursday yet, but they get Cade Povich. So another lefty who struggled this year, 1-6 ERA over 6. So it's like the Dodgers have 2+ advantages against lefties who have struggled. So it's like, that's what I want to see. Offense doing well. Buehler, he gets a tough matchup there, but it's what's he going to get? And then Jack Flaherty, I need to see him, keep him in the game and let the offense overwhelm. That's why, David, I think they go 2-1 here. The middle game with Corbin Burns is what I'm keeping an eye on.
I'm going to say Dodgers sweep. I don't know why. I'm just going with it. Gut feeling.
Ooh. Have you done that all year?
I don't think so.
Guys, this is late August, Blake.
We're going to see Buehler have a good enough start where the Dodgers are able to get the win. I like the Flaherty matchup a lot. And whoever's pitching on Thursday is going to be awesome. No reasoning really behind this, just gut feeling here.
Also, Blake, Thursday, chat, guys, you know what? Blake and I are on an off day. It's not an off day stream.
Aren't we switching to Tuesday? Or that's the 3rd.
That's the following week.
Yeah, okay.
That's the following week. So this is it's a good one. Yeah, we get a Thursday post game.
We're gonna bring the brew.
This is again, yeah. Wow. Chills. This is absolute chills. Off day ones, man. You gotta, Those are the long ones. We're just out here at the end. Everybody has a ton of questions going into the weekend. All right. Let's see. How optimistic are you, Scooter Booter? How optimistic are you with the series against the D-backs coming up? I think it's the series of the year. I think it's one of those where the division can get flipped depending on if the D-backs win and, the early part of the week here and the Dodgers, heading in there with a 3-game lead. I think that's the series of the year. I really do. I think it's going to define a lot. It's going to set the tone. You have to either just keep pace. If you lose 2 of 3, is it 3? I gotta know. That's gonna fit my thing here. Somebody let me know real quick. If it's
I haven't looked ahead that far.
Somebody let me know if it's a 2 or if it's a 3 or 4 game set. I think it's a 3 because it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday in Arizona. But it's the most pivotal series of the year. You just have to do it. You've got to. It's 4. You got to split or take 3 or 4. Have to split or take 3 or 4. Only way. Unacceptable anything else. You lose 3 or 4, fuming. Fume.
I'm optimistic about it. I think it'll be an interesting series to watch at the minimum. It'll be a good matchup on both sides. Like, both these teams are playing well. Could be a potential playoff preview here. Could kind of end up determining the division. So I feel like the Dodgers are going to step up and play. And we'll go. Hopefully, Christian Walker doesn't hit 17 homers.
Mad lad, I'm with you. It's not going to be good. Oh my God, that's going to be postseason energy. That snakes alive signs will be everywhere. Absolutely, yeah, they're going to bring it. Oh man, fun makes for fun watch though. It does. Like, this is what we wanted. We want to see a full lineup. We want to see a full lineup in big series stuff. We've asked for this all year. Everybody talked about how the division, you don't want a big blowout. Now they've got motivation. Series of the year, lock it in. Take work off. Do what you got to do. Don't go to the game. Stay home. Enjoy a better experience watching on TV. All right. Where are you at? Here we go. You guys think there's a chance both Taylor and Kike make the playoff roster? Or are they competing for one spot? My guess is they're competing for the last spot.
I don't think they're competing. I think it's kind of Kike's locked up. Chris Taylor would have to go on a pretty hot run here to earn that spot. I think, well, what's the bench going to be? We're talking Kiermaier, probably, Kike, Barnes. Who am I forgetting? Oh, Pajes will be back.
Yeah.
So I think he'll probably make it over Taylor or Kike regardless. So I think that's kind of what we're looking at for the bench. And that makes it 13 with their 9 starters. If we're talking Miguel Rojas as a starter.
And then it's swap there. Yeah. I've got Pajes in there. Yep. Yeah, Jake, there it is. That's the rotation right there. That's the bench rotation. Let's see. We'll go again. We'll double back on this. Hit by pitch on Ohtani. The update. Scans were negative. Like, he's all good. Dave Roberts said that he's going to be in the everyday lineup going forward and nothing else. So all good news there, Kevin. Thanks for tuning in, man. Let's see. Is Freddie's heart broken? His best friend Jay Hay is gone. Yeah, I mean, it's a story. What's the story with Jason Hayward, like in the communication with Dodgers players? Like, it's an actual story.
Yeah. So I think Mike DiGiovanna of the LA Times was the one who asked about it. And apparently Jason Hayward has only talked to Freddie Freeman since he's been released, and it was like 3 texts between them. So kind of funny, kind of sad, however you want to view it there.
Yeah.
I won't blame you, whatever way you want to go. But I get it. Like, he was fired from his job, essentially. I get not wanting to, like, talk to everyone about it and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Play your way into that spot for, consideration to being on the bubble with a $9 million contract as a platoon player. It's going to happen. It's definitely going to happen. They need to maximize. They definitely need to maximize. And what did he have? 9 pinch hitting appearances all year?
I think it was 8.
8? So that's
4 for 8.
It's a tough ask to only be on the roster because of that.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to pinch hit too much in October. Like, besides for maybe Miguel Rojas or Gavin Lux against a lefty here or there. And Pajes would be the guy pinch hitting for Gavin Lux probably. And then you could kick Mookie into second base and put Pajes in right field so you don't have to burn multiple pieces. So I just don't really see the spot for Hayward on the roster.
Deuce, I won't comment on it, but yes, good point. Absolutely. If you didn't see it, yeah.
It's different when he's cut, though. Like,
just saying.
I don't think if any of us were fired from a job, like, we wouldn't go back talking to our coworkers, like, at least immediately after that. Right? Like, I don't know.
Just saying. It's a story. If it's a story, it's a story. Jason, thank you so much for this one. Scale of 1 to 10, what's your confidence level with the current versions of Lux or Kike being sustainable? Well, Gavin Lux is kind of going through a little bit of a thing. I think saw somebody put it in. He's like 3 for his last 18. But I really think Gavin Lux has turned the corner. He's shown he's done everything. Those changes have stuck. He's hitting for pop. Like, he's doing well. I believe in what he's done. He's earned everything he's getting. He should be hitting top 5 in the order, top 6 in the order every single day, without question. Kike, since it's not a meme, it was a meme, but the data's behind Kike with the glasses. Like, I love the fact we talked about this, about having him as a role against lefties like that. I thought that would be the guy. We thought that would be the guy coming off the bench there, playing in platoon stuff there. And he's showing it. He's showing it right now. He's playing himself into a pretty, an actual role.
Yeah, for me, I'm probably going with like a 7 for Lux. I believe he's better than where he was. I still think the true talent level is maybe a bit above where he was last year. Mm-hmm. Or not last year, the year before that. Of course, he missed all the last year. And that was when he was like a 110 weighted runs created plus guy. So if he's around like 120 for the rest of the year, like, that's good. I'm happy with that. I don't think it was sustainable from the sense that he was prime Barry Bonds for 2 or 3 weeks of this season. That's definitely not sustainable there. But I think he can be a good player still, and I'm pretty confident in that. For Kike, I do believe the glasses have helped him a lot. I'm probably more like a 6 there, maybe a 5.5 about how sustainable that is. I don't know how long his vision was affecting him at the plate, but it's been quite a while since he has been good. So I'm kind of torn there. Flip a coin on if you think it's sustainable or not.
I know it's not a question, and we weren't going to bring it up, but I feel like enough people are seeing it right now. And like Will Smith, it's a conversation. I don't know if we have enough time to fully get into it today. We'll probably, if there's a segment in our next live, we'll talk about it some more. What's your concern level with Will Smith? I know he's throwing guys out and his defense is, making up for it and limiting base runners there. But offensively, he's really fallen off a cliff. Are you concerned with what Will Smith is going through? And do you see more opportunities for like Hunter Fiducia, or they're just, this is what's going on? And I'm fully into, for the record, I'm fully into just, you just keep playing him. Will Smith, if he's not hurt, he's not run down, there's no physical signs, like mentally he doesn't need a break, keep playing him. But he is just doing nothing at the plate right now.
Yeah, I think I'm at like a 7.5 level concern for Will Smith. Mm-hmm. It would be higher if he wasn't having some quality at bats recently. The results haven't necessarily been there, but I think he's passed the eye test a little more in the last week or so, call it. But the concern is still there because it's been a consistent trend each year where he struggles a lot in the second half. I don't know what the reason is. Maybe it's fatigue. Dave Roberts kind of brushed that off when he talked about it. I don't think Will Smith is the type of player who would complain about fatigue if it was an issue for him.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to keep running him out there and not kind of change anything. Like, you're not getting a whole lot more upside in the Barnes-Fiducia combo than you are with Will Smith there, of course. So, like, Will Smith at his worst is probably about comparable level to Barnes at his best offensively. So, yeah, I mean,
I'm not thinking, guys, we're not talking about like, making anything drastic with him. We're just having the conversation. Like, what's going up? Like, his second half it's been really poor. Like, it's been a big time fall off. And thankfully, the rest of the offense around him is picking it up. Like, absolutely. Once October hits, I believe in Will Smith to flip a switch. Absolutely. He's a professional hitter. He's had big spots, big moments for a long time with the Dodgers, several years. But there's a reason why the Dodgers felt comfortable enough to drop him in the order. Performance-based, it's just to take a little bit of the pressure off. But it is what it is. It is what it is. It's a night and day first half. Yeah, NS. Absolutely. 47 WRC plus here since July 19th. So an OPS at 506. Definitely something that's to keep an eye on. It was my thing of stuff to look out for. I know if you haven't been watching it, that's your next thing to keep an eye on. The Will Smith turnaround. And I see people bringing up Dalton Rushing in the chat. Is there any possibility of that? Like, he's not playing catcher though. So I would say no, he's not behind the plate anymore. He's in left field.
Yeah, I would say like a 10% chance of Dalton Rushing. I just don't really see it. They'd have to remove Chris Taylor or someone from the roster who they haven't been willing to do that with. They already made their tough decision with Jason Hayward. They'll have rosters expanding, but that's going to be for Pajes. Mm-hmm. So I just don't really see it as a possibility there.
Yep, no need, guys. We're nothing alarming there. It's just keep an eye out for his production and go with it. We know he's throwing runners out at an incredibly high clip. He's been awesome in that sense. It's just let's just keep an eye on his offense. That's all we're saying. But we believe in a turnaround. We think it's going to happen. His second half is notorious for having a downward trend. So just keep an eye on there. We're going to take a couple more questions here. Again, shout out to the over 1,700 in here across all platforms. If you're watching on the post VOD, we appreciate you tuning in as well. Thank you for all the support. Everybody at Dodger Blue appreciates it. Blake is the hardest working person I know, and he appreciates it a bunch. Take a couple more here, Blake. Rod, is the Dodgers offense too homer dependent, or is that just the case throughout MLB? I feel like we've seen it a little bit different lately. Like, they're hitting homers, but we've seen them show the ability to put base hits together. Like, they've had, I think the game against Seattle recently, they didn't have a homer, and they still won the game. Like, they're doing it. Like, they're able to put base hits together, extra base hits, work accounts, get pitches out of the game. Like, they're not fully relying on the homer, right?
Yeah, I think sometimes it can be good to be homer reliant in a game, especially in October. Like, it's tough to string a lot of hits together against really good pitchers, and a lot of times the team that homers more is the one that wins. Someone will have to check me on this, but I think the number is like 80% of the time the team wins when they homer more than their opponent in the postseason. So it's a good thing to do. I don't think they're too reliant on it because, like Scott said, they can string together base hits, and they've shown it, and they've still had a really good offense this year overall, even with the injuries that have dragged them down in the middle of the season when they were running out their AAA lineup. Like, they still have overall really good numbers. And yeah, some of that's been very boom or bust games, but I think that's also a trend for a lot of teams in baseball because it's a very hard sport to play. But I mean, they're fourth in runs scored this year. They're second in the NL behind the Diamondbacks. So it's been a good offense all year, and I think they're only going to get better as they keep playing in their roles. Guys stay healthy. You're not going to be losing. You probably won't be losing Mookie Betts for another month or anything. Or like, this is a time where they can really start to pick up their offense and put together more consistent games.
I like this question. Hallelujah. They don't want to beat anybody and just play professionally. Do they need to become villains in October in order to be successful in October? I would love the Dodgers to be the villains. I would love for they just to embrace that role. Everybody hates them. Have a little bit of mean streak there. I don't know how they're going to do it, whether they've got to go out there and just, beat a team down, keep putting it on them. Like, I would love it. I know a lot of fans would love that. Who's going to step up and do it? We've talked about it. Like, is it going to be one of the big three? Is it going to be Mookie? Is it going to be Ohtani? Is it going to be Freddie Freeman? Like, somebody's got to have a mean streak, but I think they just got to start, beating some of these teams down, flex the muscles a little bit here, have a dominant run, have an absolute dominant run going into October. That'd be just insane. That'd be terrific. Teoscar, Pinsanity, yeah, absolutely. They've got it all put. If they all put it together, it's tough to expect all of that for sure. But we need to see some dominant run, and that'll be fun. Become the villains. Make everybody hate you just because, yeah, you're the big bad dollar Dodgers. You've got that big three.
I'd like to see them do it. I just don't think they're the type of team to do it. Like Mookie, Shohei, Freddie, Teoscar, Will Smith, Tommy Edman, Miguel Rojas, like they're very professional, like kind, nice players that aren't gonna embrace that villain role. I think Max Muncy could be the guy who embraces that role, but that's not enough to make your team the team villain. So
someone make him stop.
Yeah, I just don't see them doing it at all, even though I'd like to see it.
I know, but somebody make him stop. He's crushing my dreams here. I want them to be the bad guys so bad. So bad.
Yeah, that Dave Roberts managing them, that's just not happening here.
Jack Flaherty can be the villain. Yes, he can. Jack Flaherty can absolutely be the villain. Yes, he can. Let's do it. Jay Flair. TQT, I'm gonna do this just because I've seen you put it up a bunch of times. You weren't a huge fan of the Glass Now trade because he's made of glass. I'll push back on that a little bit. But Ryan Pepiot's had a solid year with a ton of red on his Savant page. He's had injuries too. With hindsight being 2020, would I redo the Tyler Glass Now trade? I would not. I really wouldn't, because of Blake and I have talked about all year, even before it, even when the trade happened, the ceiling for Tyler Glasnow is like one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. And I don't think that Ryan Pepiot's ceiling is that.
Wait, you said you wouldn't redo it, like remake it?
Oh, sorry. My bad. I would redo it. I apologize. Okay. I misspoke. I would I would do it again. I would do the exact same deal. Like, Johnny DeLuca clearly didn't have a role. Like they weren't gonna do it. And Ryan Pepiot, like older guy, but I know he has the control. But the ceiling for what he can be is not what Tyler Glasnow can be.
Yeah, I remake that trade pretty easily. I don't think I've hated it at all at any point this year. I'd say Tyler Glasnow, even though he's made of glass, has thrown more innings than Pepiot this year. He's been better than Pepiot this year. And for a team like the Dodgers, where you're kind of going all in on these next 3 years to try and win a World Series, like it's easy for me to say, yeah, you make that trade again. Glasnow has front of the rotation stuff, top of the rotation potential. Ryan Pepiot just isn't that, in my opinion.
They could have both. TQT. They offered Blake Snell. Like they offered Blake Snell. It didn't matter how cheap Pepiot is. They offered Blake Snell. They wanted both. They offered it.
Yeah, they went out and made a push for Snell. I think their like official final offer was going to come in after he agreed with the Giants. So unfortunate timing there. They probably should have pushed earlier there, but they wanted both. I don't think the money has been an issue for them. They went out and got Flaherty still, another top of the rotation guy. So I don't think it would have affected anything there. Like this is a team that's kind of all in right now.
It's a big question here, Blake, and I'm super glad I have you on. Everybody tune in. When is Brandon Morrow coming back from rehab?
Next week.
Perfect. Slot him in the 8th. Turn it right over to oh my goodness, Michael Kopech in the 9th. Lock it in. Profit.
Run him out there. 7 games in a 7-game series. Let's go.
A true dog. Brandon Morrow, 2017 Brandon Morrow was one of the most true dog players that I've ever seen. One of the grittiest, gutsiest performances from a reliever. Didn't care. Give me the ball. Went out and got paid. Never pitched again. Walked off into the sunset. I think we're going to call it there. Everybody, we appreciate you a bunch. Over 1,700 in here for a really long time across all social media. Thanks for joining Blake and I on a Sunday night. These late shows, we know you love them. We love them too because we love you guys. Keep an eye out for us. It's a big series coming up against the Baltimore Orioles. It's going to be a good test. Keep an eye out for the pitching. Keep an eye out for the offense against Corbin Burns. We'll be back here on Thursday night after the finale, thankfully, for a post-game Blake and Scott edition, something we haven't had for quite a bit. We're going to be looking forward to it. on a Thursday night. It's going to be a great time. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe button, ring the notification bell, toss anything in the comment section. Blake and I are pretty active in there replying to people. If you have any questions, post-production, post-VOD, we want to thank you so much. Hit that like button. Give us a follow. Give Blake a follow on social media. He's always breaking some stuff. He's at the stadium constantly, getting the interviews, putting in a ton of hard work. Again, Blake, any last thoughts?
No, you set me up saying we're going to have a last thought segment, and my thought is that I didn't think of anything to actually say for it. So
we went on Will Smith. That was my last one. That carried.
Yeah, that is what you talked about for it, but I didn't have like any actual final thoughts.
No thoughts, just vibes. Blake Williams, yep. As always, thanks for joining us, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Enjoy your day off tomorrow. Go Dodgers.